Stay tuned to Voice of Rio Grande, where the deans are speaking with Dan Rowbotham about Wales and the Welsh intern situation here at the University of Rio Grande and Rio Grande Community College. Hello and welcome to Voice of Rio Grande. I'm your host, Dr. Donna Mitchell, Dean of the College of Professional and Technical Studies, along with my co-host, Dr. David Lawrence, Associate Provost and Interim Dean of the College of Arts and Sciences.
Right.
Hi, David.
Hi, Donna. It's glad to be back with you.
It's good to have you back. We've missed you.
It's been a few years.
It's been a while, but you're just picking right up where you left off, just
hopefully.
like it never happened. Well, I am so excited about our show today, David. We have somebody with us who is a very special person and has a very special role at Rio. Dan Rowbotham, and he is here as our Welsh intern and also a friend of ours.
I try.
And he's here to talk to us about our relationship there with the Mad Dog Center, and also about some of the activities that they've offered, lots of things he's doing, and hopefully you'll tell us a little bit about life in Wales.
Yeah, for sure. It's great to have the invitation and to come back on and to speak with you both.
Well, tell us a little bit about how you came to Rio, because you are from Wales.
Okay. So I'd actually first heard about Rio during my undergraduate degree from the University of Wales, Trinity St. David. And I'd met these kids from Rio. They were on exchange, and they was like, oh, we're from this place called Rio Grande. And I was like, that doesn't sound right. I'd taken Spanish in school. I was like, oh, you've got it wrong, but okay, whatever. And then they were telling me about this guy called Bob Evans and this little place in rural Ohio that was Welsh. And I didn't believe them. And then a few years after, I heard about the internship, and someone had asked me if any of my graduating class were looking for a job, and I was like, no, we're all sorted, we're all fine. And then they said, oh, you'd be great at this, and I was like, living in the U.S. for a couple of years, I'm good, but here I am. I'm about to start my final semester, and I've loved every moment so far. And yeah, so I've been here since January 2018, and I'm I don't know how many interns have been before me, but it's real great to kind of join the line of interns that we've had here at Rio.
And what are you studying while you're here?
So I'm on the graduate program, so I'm getting a Master's in Education Integrated Arts.
Okay.
So yeah.
And when do you finish?
I finish at Christmas.
Oh, good.
So I have something like seven credit hours this semester. So that's gone by real quick.
All right. Well, congratulations on both getting here and having the internship as well as
Thank
on
you very
graduation. What do you plan on doing when you graduate?
That's the big question. I have a couple more months before I consider panicking, but I'm not sure. I really enjoy higher education. I also really enjoy student engagement and working in the local schools here. So had considered a teaching certificate, but we'll see. Whatever happens, I'm sure there's a plan somewhere.
Okay. So are you planning on then returning to Wales?
Yes. So I'm going to go back to Wales. I absolutely love it here, but the Welsh hills of Wales, they're a calling.
And your family's there. And
yeah,
lots of
for
friends.
sure. Yes,
Yeah.
Not to say that I haven't been adopted by many families here and
sure.
made some friends here, but it means that I'll always have somewhere to stay on my return to Rio.
Good.
That's
Yep,
for sure.
true.
Anytime you come back, I'm sure you'll have plenty of people who are willing to adopt you and let you spend some time and bring your lovely family back, because I did have an opportunity to meet your family, and
they were here for a short spell around graduation. So yeah, that was great to show them all these places here in Southeast Ohio.
And I've heard that southeastern Ohio looks a lot like Wales. Is that true?
Oh my goodness, yes, yes. So it's the rolling hills, It's very interesting coming back from Columbus. I always kind of go, oh, it's so flat. And I've never been anywhere as flat. And over the weekend, I was up in Radnor, Ohio, which is up in Delaware County, north of Columbus. And they had a Welsh picnic, their predominantly Welsh community. And I was just stood there like, this is so flat. So it's really great to have that feeling of coming back down here and going, ooh, okay, we're back. We've got the hills. But, you know, on those little country roads that go off, still a luxury to have two sides of the roads. I'm from a tiny village, 120 people.
Wow.
I live 4 miles from the main road. So, yeah, it's very similar, but also very different.
Yep.
So what is your role here at Rio? What do you do here? What kind of activities have you led? What's it like to be an intern?
So, the Davis Intern, we're funded by the Davis family from Oak Hill, and I am so grateful for the opportunity. It's just an amazing. It's been an amazing opportunity to kind of get involved in the local community. We hold a lot of community events. We work on campus to bring students who want to study abroad. Studying abroad is an amazing thing that students can add to their college experience, and it's something that a lot of employers are actually looking for on resumes now globally. So it's awesome to be able to be a part of people's experience of studying abroad and going to Wales, going to my old campus and meeting up with people who I used to work with or used to study with. But I get to go into local schools. Jackson is the only district in the United States that has a compulsory Eisteddfod for its elementary grades. And that's a fantastic celebration of song, and everybody sings or plays the recorder. And in 5th grade, they actually learned a Welsh song with me. And I had something like 40 kids join me this year and take on the challenge of learning a Welsh song. And that was really special. But I mean, there's the Welsh American Heritage Museum in Oak Hill, and there's all kinds of little hidden gems. There's 64 miles of Welsh scenic byways, so we're on the official Ohio byways, and we have 64 miles, and they're just dotted with little Welsh churches and cemeteries and places of significance in Welsh history in the area.
You mentioned the Eisteddfod. Did I say it correctly?
Yeah.
I'm working on my Welsh, and I'm not doing so well. My mother participated in that when she was in 5th grade, and that has been many, many years ago. I think she actually started maybe in kindergarten or 1st grade.
So this year was 95 years of that tradition, and I really hope it continues and develops to be something that is such an inclusive and fun event. But you know, you're talking how you've been working on your Welsh language. You've also been able to experience some of the Welsh classes that I've been holding. So I've currently held a short course in Columbus, a course here on campus, and in Oak Hill at the museum. And a couple of weeks ago, we had a kids camp. So we had a few kids, local kids, come onto campus, and we only did it in the mornings because I needed to schedule some nap time.
For yourself,
For
right?
myself. But we had so much fun. We learned about the Welsh heritage in the area. We did a bit of genealogy. We baked Welsh cakes. We sung. We did some folk dancing. We learned some Welsh. And we even held a Skype session with a school in Wales. So they got to ask questions, learning about the different cultures or what was similar. And, you know, they're all sat there going, why are they all dressed the same? One of the biggest differences they noticed was all the kids were in school uniforms. So that's interesting. And the Welsh classes are continuing this semester. So I currently have 70 hours scheduled between Columbus, Oak Hill, and Rio Grande.
Diane.
Yeah. Oh, she's been practicing.
I have been practicing.
You have been. How did the students do with the language, with the Welsh language?
So the Welsh language, it's tough.
It's very
It's a
tough.
tough
It's a
language.
tough one. We have a lot of different letters. Our alphabet is different. We don't have things like the letter X or Z or K. So it's interesting to see people's reaction to the alphabet, but also we have a lot of mutations where the beginning of words change depending on what comes before it. So that's also a very tough thing to kind of get your head around. But because the pronunciation is so different, and what I've really enjoyed is the accent, the local accent here in Southeast Ohio. It's
The accent from Welsh speakers?
the accent for those learning Welsh.
Oh, okay.
And it's interesting to hear my accent develop during classes for people to be able to hear the sounds of my R's and stuff.
Oh, yes.
But that's also, for me, is just such an integral part of the experience. You know, not only are the students learning from me, I hope they're learning from me, but I learned so much from them about local connections, about people's personal connections to Wales, but also just about the language and such rich heritage we have here.
So tell us a little more about Wales. I really, someday I'm going to go to Wales. Tell us about your food and your culture.
It's a beautiful country, and we are right next door to England. And just across the sea, we can see Ireland on a nice clear day, and Wales, by landmass, actually fits into Ohio 5.6 times.
Really?
So to hear that there, you know, that the ties are so strong between this part of the state and Wales is just incredible. And the food, I mean, we're pretty similar. Maybe less salt and sugar that I've learnt the hard way. What is it called? The freshman 15?
Yes.
That's ongoing, you know, and I'm a master's student. But I think that, you know, it's the meat and the potatoes and the vegetables. But I think that here we have a bit more of a mix of like the Mexican foods, whereas we tend to stick a bit more to the Asian foods. So it's been really interesting, like as a culinary journey, really. I should have just made a blog about all the food or the differences in food. So yeah, I really enjoy going to people's houses and eating their food and learning about it and being like, you just have to come to Wales and come to my house and this is how we do it. And when my family were here, you know, they cooked for the family that they were staying with. So it was just so interesting to see them kind of go, oh, we're in a different kitchen, or going to Walmart and finding things like a little different. So yeah, and you know, like things like Welsh cakes, and we have speckled bread, which I think you may have tried some of in class. There's just little things that I miss, but you know, nothing that America hasn't given me, like being able to run down to the Amish donut store and things like that. That will maybe something I will miss when I go home. But yes, it's very interesting.
I was very fortunate, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. I was very fortunate in 2005 to take the Grand Chorale when I was directing Grand Chorale to Wales. So we were over there for almost a week and got to do some sightseeing as well as performing.
Yes.
And it is a wonderful country. You should go over there and see that. And it is very similar to southeastern Ohio with the rolling hills. Not nearly as many sheep over here as over there, but other than that, it's very similar.
Yes.
It is a great place to visit.
So there's 10 million sheep. 10 million sheep, and Wales has a population of 3.1 million. And you know how I was saying that I was visiting the schools in Jackson. Well, I was going, you know, well, kids, you know, there's not many sheep around here, but the hills remind me of home, and you just need those little white clouds just up there. And I was explaining that we have 3 sheep to every human, and one kid put the hand up, and I could see some cogs turning, and I go, yeah, what's your question? He goes, so if somebody from England marries somebody from Wales, and that person from Wales decides to move to England, do they have to take their 3 sheep with them? You probably have to ask the local farmer first, but I don't recommend stealing any sheep.
Oh, I wouldn't think so. No.
You always get the best questions from children.
I know, it's great. It's great.
You mentioned the classes. Could you talk a little more about those classes? Because I would highly recommend those classes to anybody who's thinking about them.
So they're going to be beginning on the 10th of September on campus, or the 12th of September in Oak Hill. So I teach the same class twice so that people have the opportunity to kind of catch up if they panic and want to go go again, then they can. But it's also to kind of outreach further and to give a different option. And they'll go on for 10 weeks, and they're only 2-hour classes. You know, it's not just the language. It is about, you know, we have such an eclectic mix in the class, we do all kinds of things. We do numbers, we look at the alphabet, we look at saying where we live, what we like, asking questions, talking about what we have. And it's really interesting to kind of see people just kind of own it themselves, because I think that's what's important, is that people own their heritage and people also own their education and experiences. So we're always open to learning new stuff, and if anybody has any recommendations, then we go with it and try to add as much as we can. And 10 weeks sounds like a long time, but it really isn't. But we had a lot of fun last semester with them. And I'm really looking forward to going back to Columbus too, because I haven't been there since last year, but I've had the opportunity to socialize with them, and they're excited to kickstart those again. So if anyone is interested, just give us a call, drop me an email. I'll happily talk over the classes, and there are people dotted through Galley and Jackson and beyond who have been a part of these classes. And these classes have been going on for years, but it's really nice to kind of take ownership. When I was home at Christmas, I was fortunate enough to work with the Welsh the National Welsh Learning Centre in Wales. So we're currently learning the same curriculum that they would be learning in Wales too, which means that we have extra resources available. But, you know, if you don't do your homework, it gets tough to keep up on, right, Donna?
It certainly does, and I did my homework.
You did.
One thing I think that we need to share is the cost, because I could not believe when you told me the cost of these classes.
So these classes are just $30, and they're $20 if you're a student. So when I say if you're a student, these classes are open for all ages, all abilities. There are people who haven't learned Welsh in 20 years. There are people who haven't learned Welsh at all. And you know, having the summer camp, I think a lot of those kids are interested in continuing. So they're open for all ages and all abilities. So students are at $20 for the entire program, for the entire course, and then $30 for non-students. In Columbus, I'm not sure what the fee is. I don't do the administrative side of that. But again, I can give you more information on that and give you some contact details if anyone's interested.
I was really surprised when you said $30. I said, oh, $30 each class.
Yes.
That's no, $30 for the entire course.
Yes.
And we had a wonderful time.
Yeah.
It's hard. It's a hard language to learn.
It is.
But you made it fun.
Yeah, and I tried to bake as much as I could.
That was always nice.
Which is fun. And, you know, we do the things. We drink tea. People bring in baked goods. So it's about being able to socialize too. It's not just and there's no exam, there's no coursework. It's just a whole lot of fun.
But there is homework.
There is homework just to keep on top of it from week to week. And you will get a plush dragon thrown in your face just to wake you up if you're falling asleep after a day at work. But yeah, we do have a lot of fun.
And the dragon's name is?
Cochin.
And that means?
The red one, so the Welsh dragon. Yeah.
All right.
I would highly recommend those classes. I know that I went through the classes once. I will be in the classes again because I need to start from scratch one more time.
There we go. I'll wait for your registration.
Diolch.
See? Look at you. You've already got it. You're throwing it at me.
I look at that every day because it's on a card in my office.
There we go.
And that means thank you.
Yes, it does. Yeah.
So Todd, could you just say a few words in Welsh for our listeners?
So the important one would probably be shwmai, which is just hi, how are you, rolled into one, shwmai. And your one, diolch. And probably a favorite, I saw somebody from the US who's currently visiting Wales put on Facebook that they were having a paddle. Wales is currently going through a heat wave and is currently hotter than Ohio.
Wow.
Which is almost unheard of. I was asking, is it humid? And they're going, no. So I'm like, don't complain yet.
Yeah.
Don't complain yet. And they were having a paddle in the sea, and there were jellyfish. Or in Welsh, we would call them pysgodyn wibbly wobbly, which literally translates to wibbly wobbly fish. Pysgodyn wibbly wobbly. So if you take anything away, it's Pysgodyn Wibbly Wobbly.
Got it.
We got a
Got
good
it.
laugh out of that
We
one.
did.
Wibbly wobbly. Like that.
So what has been your highlight of the time you've been here? Can you think of one or two things?
I think it's for sure the people are definitely something that's been a highlight. Just people have been so nice and welcoming. You know, I'm 4,000 miles away from home, and it certainly doesn't feel like that. And I've tried to be as engaged as possible on campus. I'm a student life coordinator, so I'm in charge of one of the dorms on campus. So it's really nice to be kind of parts of little different things that go on campus. I mean, we have quite a busy campus for such a small place, and it's really nice to be a part of that, whether it's with a Welsh program, you know, throwing candy at people, getting them to study abroad, or whether it is, you know, telling somebody off for not flushing the toilet in the dorm. You know, it's part of the experience. But I've really enjoyed meeting the people and the opportunities that have always kept coming here at Rio, to be honest.
If I were to go to Wales, what would you say were the highlights? These are the things you have to see and do.
You have to have an ice cream on the prom in Aberaeron, which is a small town, which, funnily enough, that's with the Welsh who originally settled here in Gallia County. That's where they left from. You have to do that. You have to eat fish and chips. Oh, it's all food, sorry. But there are... But there's some fantastic attractions. You know, we have Snowdonia National Park, which is just outstanding and beautiful lakes, mountains. But you also have places like St. Fagin, which is our national museum. But it's not just a place where you go in and take a look. You get to live the experiences. They have you know, if somewhere has gone into disrepair in North Wales, maybe they have physically moved it brick by brick to this museum. So you have an old chapel from North Wales. You have an old toll gate from the west. There's even a small street. Wales was predominantly a coal-led industry, especially in the south. And there's an entire street of old miners' cottages, and each of them on the inside, and there's also a garden. Each of them represent each decade from, I think it may be from the 1900s up to today, and that's amazing. But you just get a real insight into life in Wales throughout it all. You know, we have Celtic mud houses and all kinds of things. So I think that's a good thing. But also getting into a pub in a small village, you just learn so much about the culture and hearing the language and everything. I don't think I could ever fill just one segment on what to do in Wales. There's so much to do and so much to see, even though it's such a small place, but it's very beautiful. And you can go looking for dolphins and all kinds of things.
Can you talk just a little bit about, since you're finishing a master's degree, the differences between what your undergraduate degree, you said was at Trinity St. David's, and basically your system of education, secondary education, upper division, and then the graduate school and the differences between the two?
For me, the biggest difference is Rio has been the first time I've been educated through the medium of English. I've been able to go through all of my education, so it's already been interesting having to not change the way I write as much. It's just, you know, having to think about translation, especially when I came home after Christmas. I was in a theatre class with Dr. Vicky Crooks, and it was a quick fire game, and translating stuff, that was challenging, but I think that the biggest difference is, you know, I only did a 3-year degree, and to see everyone here doing a 4-year degree, but for those 3 years you're concentrated on your field, whereas here people are still doing their generals, and I have interesting conversations with people who are maybe sophomore and still taking math, and I'm like, I haven't taken math since I was 16. So that's been really interesting, learning about the different ways that that we do education. But being in the schools has also been a huge eye opener for me. Like I said, school uniform and just huge differences in that. But also, I mean, the goal is all the same, to learn as much as we can. And I think it's just amazing how different and similar everything is. But I mean, studying abroad can really open your eyes, especially if you're maybe looking at education. It can enrich your students and the class. And I think that is something that I'll be taking home. The fact that I've studied under a different system is very interesting.
You just said, and I may have not understood you correctly in the class, that in Wales years ago they did not speak Welsh. Is that correct?
Yes. So education, Welsh language education. I'm lucky enough to have gone through my entire education through the medium of Welsh. But over 100 years ago, people were caned for speaking Welsh, and they were punished. So Wales, only around 20% of the nation actually speaks Welsh because of that effect. So the government is trying to work on getting 1 million speakers. So it's very exciting in Wales at the moment. There's a lot of money and a lot of hope given to the Welsh language, and trying to make it, to help it flourish. And education is one of those areas that they are pushing, because there had been so long that they couldn't teach Welsh because the government in Westminster in London wouldn't allow that. But now the Welsh government has devolved, which means that it has powers that Westminster used to have, but now the Welsh government in Cardiff, which is the capital city, can now run the education, which is quite exciting.
Great.
I was really surprised to hear that Welsh people, some of them didn't speak their language.
No.
I'm so happy it's coming back. And
Me too.
And that you're bringing it back over here.
yes.
We can try.
We can
try.
What was the phrase your grandmother said for us to learn with our R's?
Oh, around the ragged rock, the rugged rascal ran. So in the Welsh language, you roll our R's. So there's always a trill. So around the ragged rock, the rugged rascal ran.
We practiced
But you've
that
been
quite
practicing that as you call people and you hear the ringing, right?
often. Right.
I'm sure.
Are there any final thoughts you'd like to leave our viewers with?
No, just that if you're interested in learning Welsh, or even just having a bit of Welsh culture thrown at you, there's so many events that we have on campus. We have Welsh students and faculty visiting us soon, so please get in touch with the Madog Centre. You can get through to us on the Rio website. You can call us here at Rio, and we'll happily talk to you about the Welsh heritage in this area.
And that's the way they can sign up for the classes as well.
Yes, for sure.
Well, I appreciate your time. Diolch.
Diolch yn fawr. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for being with us today.
You're very welcome.
And thank you.